All right, welcome to another live episode of the Kings of Causeway podcast, part of the Boston Sports Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Pat Burke, joined as always by Ryan Coffey. And we are here today to preview about 2 hours from now. There will be a puck that is dropped in South Florida, the Bruins and the Panthers. Second round action. We are going to preview the series. We're going to make some predictions. We're going to identify what needs to go well, what needs to change from round one, what needs to stay the same, and a little bit about what we're scared of with this Florida Panthers team. Ryan, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. I went to my cardiologist today. They told me the game from Saturday took 10 years off my life, so not too bad.
Mine said 8.5, so I'm beating you there.
I still can't believe what I saw. A lot to unpack. I'm excited to preview this, but I know we want to recap kind of what happened with Toronto first.
Yeah, touching a little bit on what we briefly discussed after Game 7. Hell of a game. The boys play. I mean, the shots in the first period were, in games 5 and game 6, we had a total of 3 shots in the first period. We quadrupled that number in the first period of game 7. Even if we didn't get the breakthrough, I thought the guys came out with the intent that we thought we were going to see in game 6 that just didn't exist.
Yeah.
So, I thought they did what they had to do. The guys that needed to step up, stepped up. Jeremy Swayman, played outside of his mind yet again. And then what I've been calling for the whole series was the star players needed to act like star players. And, the Hampus Lindholm read the boards really well, sent a great pass. He said afterwards that was something that he just knows that when Pastrnak wheels like that, that's what he wants to do. Lazy boy Mitch Marner just kind of let him do what he wanted to do, and Pastrnak, he can't screw that up. And to his credit, he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's like right up, and I'd say wasn't impressed really with their game overall, right up until the second where Pasta scored. Right, like I feel like, well, to your point, Lindholm obviously had that big goal, and I think overall he had a good game, but majority of the team was not playing.
A goal and an assist.
He had the assist in that. Yeah, he stepped up. But yeah, I mean, right up until that last second, you're wondering where the hell's Pasta? Is he even out on the ice? Marchand wasn't noticeable. Going back to the first period, I do want to call out. I feel like it's going to be different, right? Like we didn't come out other than maybe a little bit in game 3 and game 4 with like a dominating presence for more than maybe 10 minutes, here and there in games 3 and 4. But we did not have a sustained dominance in that series. Sometimes games you can just really control. Like I never felt like we had that the entire series. And so it's going to be a test going into the next one. I think the only good news is sometimes, if you kind of get a slap in the face and you see a near-death experience, it kind of wakes you up and makes you realize, wow, we're lucky to be here. Let's pick it up. So hopefully that's kind of the mentality going into game 1.
Yeah, speaking of game 1, about 2 hours from now, lots to unpack between now and then. This was a Florida Panthers team that this time last year we had already actually watched them kick the shit out of us in a game 7 and send us to Cancun. The reality is this is also a very different Florida team. This is a very different Boston team. Both these teams are radically different. And the totality of the regular season has Florida on top of Boston in the standings. We can, nitpick about the last month or so of the season as much as we want, whatever it might be. But the fact of the matter is, this is a high octane, fast moving offense in Florida. These guys move. They move in transition in a way that few teams in the league really can. Their defense is not elite, but not terrible. and their goaltending has been certainly better than Ilya Samsonov. So this has all the makings of a. If the Bruins didn't learn their lessons from round one, they're going to be in trouble in this series.
Yeah. They're gonna get they're gonna get pushed around by, like, perfect example. You take Tyler Bertuzzi, right? He chirping the whole series, but at the end of the day, he didn't have too many points, and it's someone that Marchand feels like he can push around. You take someone like a Matthew Tkachuk, he's going to put up points, and you're not going to push him around. So I think very different dynamic. This isn't a weak team by any means. Someone like a Barkov, very experienced. He's a big boy. Like he's going to control play if you don't put the body on him and make them feel like they don't have space. If you give them space, they will execute, unlike beliefs. So yeah, it's going to be a dangerous series if we don't pick up our play immediately.
Yeah, no, you're dead on that one. I really think it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, in my opinion, were a team that were really going to live and die by how their superstars performed. This is a Florida Panthers team that doesn't necessarily need to rely on that. Case in point, Barkov, to your point, has by statistics had an off year for him.
Yeah.
And yet still is changing the game in, game out. Like, even if it's not on the score sheet, he's affecting the results of these games, every night. So if he doesn't show up on the score sheet, he shows up. The point is, he shows up, as opposed to our stars in round one suited up for 3 out of the 7 games.
Yep.
And that's not going to be good enough against this Florida team. And I know we beat them in the regular season. At the end there, but the regular season to me counts for absolutely nothing. Both teams in round one, gave up more chances than they normally do at even strength. The difference between the two sides was special teams, where the Bruins had a penalty kill that was, unreal. And unfortunately, honestly, you've got to anticipate that not keeping up. Like that's not, we're not gonna, you can't just bank on that, because history in every season tells us you're going to regress from that stellar number. It's not all of a sudden gonna 180 flip, but they're going to get power plays. They're going to get power play opportunities. They're going to put the puck in the net probably more than twice if we give them 5 opportunities a game. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with how the games are officiated, if they're going to let the boys hit, if they're going to let them skate, we don't know how it's all going to shake out. I don't want to make any presumptions that what happened in one series is going to carry over to the next. This is a clean sheet of ice for everybody, but we can't have some of the mental mistakes, I think, that we showed, especially early in the Toronto series. I think we went 3 games in a row with a too many men on the ice penalty. That can't happen. That can't happen. This is not the team you can give away the freebies or the lazy penalties. Like, if I see a lazy trip or a lazy hook or a lazy slash because somebody didn't want to skate back hard enough, or a too many men on the ice penalty, or a delay a game penalty, something like that, that can't happen. If you're going to go matching roughing, if you're even going to get a roughing trying to set the tone, I can stomach that over a penalty that's drawn from laziness or mental mistakes. What about you?
Yeah, definitely, it's definitely going to be a big piece of it. I think our penalty kill performed out of their mind. I think there will be some regression in this series. However, I still think they can perform at an elite level. What needs to happen is we need to score in the power play. And the way you get power plays is you execute on 5-on-5, which didn't happen the last 3 games of the Toronto series. Yes, it's one thing to make stupid mistakes, but we also need to put pressure on them so we're getting the power plays, and then we need to execute on our power play. You brought up the Barkov. He's going to always bring his A game, even if it's not showing up on the stat sheet. The difference this year is they have a Reinhardt. They have Tarasenko, who we know can beat you any which way. Carter Verhaeghe, who's obviously kind of a Bruins killer over the last year. He can beat you. It's going to be interesting. You mentioned the goalies. They actually didn't play great against Tampa. Like there were some holes in Bobrovsky. So
Yep.
I think you're right. Yes, they might have a little momentum from last series, but we might have momentum from going 4-0 against them in the regular season. So I think tonight's a complete wash. Slate's clean. I'll be very curious to see what we do with our goalies. I think you have to go Swayman. However, we said it about Toronto. Omar kind of has Florida.
It's the almost exact reverse.
Opposite.
Against Toronto. Yeah. 3-1 in favor of Swayman in the regular season. This time it's 3-1 in favor of Ullmark. He's rested. He doesn't need. We know he doesn't need to take any time getting used to this. And if I'm honest, I think this is a little bit of a fuck you series for Linus Ullmark. I think he's embarrassed by the way last year went. He's never used injuries as an excuse, but I'll make it for him. A goalie playing hurt is possibly the hardest position in hockey to play hurt. There's no hiding from it if you're hurt. You're stagnant and standing still too long to be explosive when it's a muscle or a tendon or something like that cools down. There's no way to go get on the bench and hit it with a thermogun or anything like that. You're not skating as much, and there's no one to bail you out. If you can't get left to right, if you can't get your arm up in time because you've got like whatever the issue is, it is infinitely harder to play that position. And if he's healthy, for as well as Jeremy Swayman played, and he played phenomenally. Even in losses, he averaged 2 goals a game or less. Like that is remarkable to do in the postseason and have that series go to 7 games. But I think you go back to reinstitute like, hey, all right, we're going to go 1-1. And then by game 3, game 4, game 5, we'll know kind of how the end of it's going to go, I think. And I think starting on the road helps the rationale for rotation because I've said it before, a playoff series doesn't start until the home team loses. It doesn't start. And so you can go out there and even if we steal game 1, even more reason to flip-flop and tee that up.
I can't agree with you more. I think you said it. This is a fuck you series for Ullmark. Like I would there's a lot of reasons why you'd start Ullmark. It being away, like technically we can lose one in Florida, right? Like we're supposed to or whatever it works out to. But I think based on the regular season, you give Ullmark the chance to at least shine tonight. And not reading too much into it, but based on Montgomery's comments earlier today, it sounds like it's going to be Ullmark because in my perspective, if it was Swayman and they know, hey, let's play the hot hand, they would have came out and said Swayman. Instead, they were super non-committal, said we've always had a plan in place. Let's just kind of we're going to keep our plan. That to me tells them they're going Ullmark. I'd also say it's a good time because we have Andrew Peak, Danton Heinen are about one. It sounds like they're out tonight, but they're about a game or 2 away from coming back. Carlo might be out tonight, but Grzelcyk and Forbort are available. Obviously, Patrick Brown looks like is making his way into the lineup tonight for Boqvist or Lauko. And so we changed up our lineups. If you look at the first lineup, it's Coyle, DeBrusk, and Marchand. Zaka's on a wing with Geeky and Pastrnak. I think this is the night where they're just kind of, hey, we're switching it up. If you guys can't play legitimate hockey, you're going to lose anyway. And I think that's the message. And if we lose, you go right back to Swayman. And now you're in that position where it's, Swayman game 2. If Swayman plays out of his mind, you go to him game 3, you continue that. But I think you have to give the first game to Ullmark. And you can't let Ullmark go cold, too.
Exactly.
You can't put him in game 3 or 4,
Right. Right. He can't go basically a full 7-game series out of the pipe. He's got to start tonight for me. Unless if he doesn't start tonight, then the rotation is dead. The rotation is dead. Agreed. And now it is a pull if in case of emergency is the only reason he plays again. to your point, this can't be he goes game 2. I don't think. I think he's got to go game 1. Some of the roster changes that we're making are interesting. The Boquist, is that injury related?
I couldn't figure out, but I will say this: Boquist has played really well, but Braun might be a better fit for this type of a series, at least.
Okay, talk to me about that. What does he bring that you like?
He's a bigger guy. He gets physical, and he's one of those grinders. Like, doesn't matter how the game's going, he's giving you 100% every time. And I think coming in fresh, you're definitely going to get that tonight. Throw him with a Beecher who has speed and a Maroon who can also create space. It could get dangerous. It's not that I didn't like Boquist's game. I just think against this Panthers team, like, you want to kind of send a message in game 1. Beat them down a little bit. Then if you come back with speed,
even in a loss, I'd rather we need to out effort them. If I'm perfectly honest, I think if we out effort them on their own ice, we win the game.
Yeah.
Or it's a 1-goal game that could have gone either way if we out effort them. But win or lose in that scenario, it plants the flag of like, hey, yeah, we've heard the noise. We understand that we're not supposed to win this year.
Yeah.
You can also get the hell out of here, because if you are going to win, it is going to cost you everything in order to do it. I think, as many years as they took off of our lives as fans, and I'm sure as their lives as players, because I refuse to believe that they don't care at least a little bit about how the season ends. Maybe going game 7 and clinching it in that manner might be we can do this. We've gotten over the, oh my God, we almost choked again. We didn't choke again. Now let's go get the guys that got us last year. It could be one of those galvanizing things in the locker room. I certainly don't think it hurts. I think at any point you were going to end up having a couple games, 7-game series sprinkled in there, no matter what. There's nothing I've ever seen that shows that a team that plays a ton of 7-game series, they never win. So I don't think at this point, I don't think there's any excuse for the lack of effort. You're now in round 2. The one thing I'm a little worried about is the first 4 games we're going, it's back to back to back. So it's game on, game off, day on, day off, day on, day off. Our bench looked like they were sucking wind about 10 minutes into the first period in game 7, and that was at home. I texted you that, like, they were sucking wind, and that makes me a little nervous. It's too late now. Like, there's nothing to do about it now. You can't suddenly get cardio in 24 hours. I don't exactly know how the hell they're all of a sudden tired.
I was a little
shocked. Or what were did you read that the same way I did?
I definitely saw fatigue. I'm a little shocked. I'm a little shocked they're playing tonight, to be completely fair, especially with them having to travel to Florida. It's different if it's a stay in Boston type situation, but a little shocked the league kind of did that to us, to be fair, because Florida's on what, 5 or 6 days rest?
Yep.
And agreed. To make us travel, all the way down south, I thought that was a little strange, but whatever. To your point, like, at
can't
this
make
point,
it like that. It is what it is now. Like,
it is what it is. I think the good news is we're obviously bringing people in and out of the lineup. I didn't realize. I thought Carlo might have been related to an injury. It's actually the birth of his second child.
So it's his second child. Nobody cares about child number 2.
Exactly.
Get your ass back in there, my guy.
And I'd say he's been our best defenseman of the postseason so far. So that's concerning. I will say this, though. I think the coaching staff has finally agreed with you and me on Matt Grzelcyk, because the fact that they're even debating throwing Forbert in over Grzelcyk just goes to show the confidence they have in Grzelcyk is very low. I've got
to be honest. It should be.
It should be.
Should be. The kid does not have it this year. Like there's been a notable drop off, and you can't have that in the play. You can't be figuring it out, hoping that you come good in the play. Do we know? It's a little early for final roster drops. Do we know who they're officially bringing in?
For defense?
Yeah.
They're probably releasing in like in half an hour.
Right. We might still be on to be able to bring that live.
They confirmed it's definitely Grizzly or Forbert. I don't know. I don't think they've confirmed it. Yeah, it's still all just projected.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you'd even consider bringing in Forbert, who hasn't played since he missed a team meeting in Seattle. I mean, I think he had one game after that and then got hurt allegedly. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So read me, who's our projected D-line pairings then? I want to see kind of how they match up with Florida.
So right now it's
with Florida's forwards.
So right now it's Lorai McAvoy, Lindholm Wotherspoon, and Forbert Shattenkirk. Forbert Grizzlick is the potential switch up.
Yep. I mean, I don't like either one of those options, to be honest.
Yeah. Forbert, it's a tough read on him. Typically, I have liked his game, but coming off this rest he has,
this is a long time to be sitting.
You don't know what you're getting. If he's fully healthy, then could be great. But like, there's probably going to be some rust there. But is rusty Derek Forbert better than Matt Grizzlick? Probably. If he's 100% healthy.
There's the argument. A 100% healthy, even if rusty Derek Forbert does get the nod for me over any form of Matt Grizzlick from this year. And again, we got to point it out because in the past he's been a playmaker, and to watch him fall off the cliff as he has been shocking. But the fact of the matter is he's never even shown a glimpse that he's climbing out of the hole he's kind of dug himself all year, and I just don't think that the playoffs are where you figure it out.
And
he was directly responsible for Toronto goals when he came in that series. And
I thought you'd like this bit of information. You're talking about getting over the hump in Game 7. I think as bad as we played, I think they can point back to this. If we go to another Game 7, we can get over the one that we won something at TD Garden that mattered, and two, that we got kind of over the Game 7 hump and going down 4-3. But you'd find this information awesome. Apparently, Shattenkirk gave a speech going into Game 7. You saw Bergeron was in the Garden. So I think everything we kind of asked for has happened. We asked for Toronto, and we thought it might line up nice that we get Florida in too. So, like, although I don't think Toronto went the way we wanted it to as far as the series,
the results
everything's kind of teeing up. Everything's kind of teeing up the way we thought we could have a good playoff run. Now it's time to put up or shut up.
Yeah. And this is going to be it's going to be interesting to me to see, Florida's, Sam Reinhart's had a career year. But their other Sam Bennett's going to be out Game 1. He's not a jump off the stats guy. No one's going to be giving him Hart Trophy ballots, anything like that. But he is a very essential glue guy for them. Yeah. And so he's not going to be good for Game 1. That's been confirmed. What that necessarily means for a game 48 hours from now, who knows? I've always kind of been interested when it's a definitive pregame rule out. How can it be anything other than a game time decision the next day? Like how is he completely unable to go to completely able to go? I've never really gotten that. So could be multiple, but for at least one, he's not going to be there. But once again, we're going up against a team that's really good in the faceoff dot. And this was something that, the Bruins had 1 out of 7 games that they won the faceoff battle.
Yeah.
That's not good enough. Johnny Beecher is going to have to step up and win his draws, which might be why with some of the roster reshuffle is to put Beecher in a center role that's going to see more ice time. He is one of our better faceoff men. Charlie Coyle's got to, can somebody go to Sullivan and pick him up and bring him to Florida? I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him in 10 days.
Yeah, well,
I don't know where the hell he is.
He's on the first line tonight, so maybe he'll actually play like a first line center for once. But yeah, I mean,
or he's either going to come out as a first line center or he's going to be John Cena and nobody can see him. It's going to go one. It blows my mind that you can have that poor performance and essentially get promoted to the first line, but it's really, we've got to get something out of you, and this is the best chance for other people to put you in a position to do well. This is not for him to help those two. This is for those two to help him, because
100%.
He might be in witness protection, and then we've got to call the FBI because we really need him back this series.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's going to be a tough series for us to score goals too. I mean, Bobrovsky had our number last year. I don't think he's better than our goalies by any chance, but the Panthers have the best 5-on-5 defense in the league, which actually shocked me. Looking at their defensemen, although they have the best 5-on-5 defense in the league, I think it's a team we can take advantage of defensively. I think if we can break them down physically, I think that's where we get the edge. They don't have any overwhelmingly large guys. I mean, Brandon Montour kind of had our number last year. But I think we can take it to them physically, and I think that's where you're going to make their defense mess up.
Which might be why you're bringing a Patrick Brown into this lineup, is to just lay down the tone of there's going to not be an easy pass, an easy breakout, an easy cycle, an easy anything. If you are going to make the pass, you are going to take the hit, period. Too many times, I think, and it almost did the opposite of what it was supposed to do, especially on the road. I've noticed when some of our smaller guys try to go in on a half-assed forecheck and it's one guy against 3 and he just goes careening into the boards trying to make a hit. All that does, you just hear a roar come up from the crowd because they saw the guy either bail out and just crash into the boards or truly get deked and crash into the boards. If we're going to forecheck, it has to be as a unit, and it has to actually be body on body. We cannot be scared to make these hits. I think adding a bigger guy like a Pat Brown is a big plus. The other guy that I got to see more out of is going to be Pat Maroon.
And Brazeau. Honestly, all 3 of the big guys.
The big rig, it's all right, buddy. Time to earn that nickname. Don't become like that UFC fighter that still gets to the nickname of the Terminator or the Dow or whatever, but he's on a 7-fight losing streak, and it's like he ain't dominating shit. If you want to be the big, then go be the big. There were too many times in the Toronto series I thought we were letting the physicality get away from us, and I was just waiting for the fourth line to go out there and just put a statement. We're just going to smother your top guys and just make them go off the ice just going, damn, I really don't want to go out against them again. That is what we have to go from shift 1 with the fourth line is whoever you're out there against, make them go, I really hope it's these other guys that I'm out there against next time. And then when that happens, internally compete, to be like, nope, they want to go against you guys again. We beat them up. It's like, nope, they want to go against you guys again. We beat them up.
100%.
Something like that. That's going to be critical, I think.
Yeah, you can blame it on the amount of power plays we gave Toronto, but I 100% agree with you. I felt like we never got into that rhythm where we're like sending our fourth line to beat down their first line so that our first line could go out and dominate their third, right? Like that. It just never seemed like we were getting the matchups we wanted. We were never giving our star players kind of like that break or that opportunity to go out against a lesser line. That has to change. I mean, you can't keep going 1 through 4. We talked about our depth. Like the third and fourth line, that's why we have them, is to go out there and kind of beat down the other lines. You need to feel comfortable playing our third and fourth line against our first or second, or it's going to get away quickly.
Yeah, because the fact of the matter is Florida is much deeper than than Toronto is. I'm going to honestly, I'm going to kind of counter a piece that I read on The Athletic this morning that was talking about how Florida is the deeper team. I don't think that's the case. I think coming out of round one, if you only watched each team's round one, it might look like the case, but over the course of now 89 games, I disagree. I think when everybody is skating and moving the puck well and fighting out there, I think we are the deeper team, 4 lines deep. But Toronto is almost doubly as deep as Toronto was. Like Florida has a solid third line. We also have a solid third line. Toronto's got a solid fourth line. We also have a solid fourth line. Their stars performed better in round one. Our stars performed better, I think, in my opinion, passing the eye test. And I know that the stats and the net ratings and all that don't honestly bear out what I'm about to say. But I think our stars had a higher ceiling and a lower floor in the regular season than theirs did. And I think I do genuinely think that if all things are 100%, we have the best player in the series on offense in David Pastrnak. 100%. We've got the best player in the series in goal with either one of the two we go. Defense, I can hear arguments either way. I don't think there's any one of our defenders, and I'm like, he is without a doubt the best player at the position in the series. But if our depth shows up like they did against Toronto, and we're only scoring 1 or 2 goals a game, we're in trouble. We are. It's very similar to the Toronto series to me in where we're going to have to keep it lower scoring. But we're going to need to put up 2 or 3 goals every single game, no matter what, because I don't think there's going to be a game where we hold them to 1. Well, I think it'll be a good game if we hold them to 2. Yeah. And if all we're getting is a 1959 in the third, consolation 1, it doesn't matter how stifling we are. Like, we've got to stifle and go score, because that's the only way you win a hockey game, is to actually put the puck in the back of the other team's net.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you slice it. We have to score. If we do what we did against Toronto, we're getting sent home in 4, because we need to. I mean, we need to generate offense in different ways too. Like, I feel like no one was getting in front of the net, kind of putting screens together. Like, it seemed like a lot of the same stuff for 7 games, and it's like just kept getting our shots blocked. Like, I'm hoping something was coached over the last 2 days.
That has to be coached, even if it's just in video, even if it's just sitting on the bus on the way to Logan or on the plane together. That has to be coached out. We cannot keep, and it wasn't that the block shots weren't even a problem in like game 1, 2, or 3. It was later on that Toronto got desperate, and we're just like, then we're just going to get right in front of you and make you shoot through us or make a move and go around us. And we were just consistently like, all right, well, here's your shin.
And we can't let Florida know or realize that's the recipe, right? Like, if they watch that and they're like, oh, we can just block all the shots and we're good.
Then you have to hit them in the teeth with the shot.
Exactly.
I was calling for this in game 6 and game 7. This is big boy hockey. You can wear the full face cage. You don't have to. If they're not going to wear the full face cage and they want to go put their body in front of the puck, hit them in the fucking teeth. Elevate, get it up high. And sorry, this is the playoffs. This is not where you win a Selke. No one on the Bruins is winning a Selke or a Lady Bing or any of those fucking good guy awards. Like, just sorry. I'm here to win a series, not even necessarily win a game. I'm here to win a series. And if that means in game 1, a couple of these pucks are going towards the Panthers' chest, hey, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I'm not going to keep kicking it into your shin because I'm worried I might hurt you. Like, you want to come out there and block, then here we go.
This is not going to be an outstanding citizen series.
It can't be.
Florida's
They're
going to
not
be
going
more
to play like that.
Florida's going to come out doing some dirty shit. Matthew Tkachuk
is the biggest. He is the new Marshall. Like I now understand why everybody hates Brad. Like that is what he is, and that is what he does. And he is not here to win any Citizen of the Year awards. He's there to win a hockey series, and he's pretty good at it. He gets everyone riled up. We've got to go do the same. That means, I think, getting really physical and being a little bit of it doesn't matter. In my opinion, in hockey, it truly doesn't matter how you win. If you win, like look at the Rangers. They have no hey, Redby, just go beat the crap out of whoever. Just beat them up. You're like, and he took the Rangers as a team took like all of 5 days worth of bad press of like, oh, they're going back to hooligan hockey. And then now it's just like Matthew Rempe just found a way to make it into the lineup and stay there. He's now indispensable. He's a feel-good fucking story.
Yeah, like they can score goals. Oh, and by the way, if you want, you're going to have to fight Rempe every game. Like, that's a fucking.
And he'll do it. He has no problem.
Yeah.
He is. And we have no problem with him doing that, getting both of our guys tossed, and we'll skate a man short because that is who the personality of this team is going to be. We've got to stop being the super Mr. Nice guys, and I love him. He's on the wall. He was a Mr. Nice guy. There was no vile in Bergeron. And he honestly kind of, I mean, maturity did this as well, but he almost kind of like coached it out of Brad Marchand a little bit as time went on and their careers, elongated together. But I'm sorry, what is the point of bringing in Pat Maroon if you're not going to let Pat Maroon go do Pat Maroon shit? Like, you brought in a guy that doesn't mind being the bad guy and then are now asking him to play as the nice guy. Be the bully. Go out there and just fuck you hit. Like, that's what it's going to take against this Florida team.
I was a little shocked that kind of when Ryan Reeves made his way out of the lineup that Maroon wasn't, especially the way the series went. It's like, oh, Toronto's clawing back in. Like, that would have been the perfect time for Maroon to just go punch someone in the face and get ejected from a game or anything, do anything.
Yeah, or just have an actual first period fight when it's tied and things are kind of lulled. Just be like, you know what? I didn't like the fact that you hit so-and-so earlier. Next shift, you and me are going to go. And just like, even if it's just matching minor or matching 5 minutes, like it doesn't need to be an ejection-worthy hit. I'm not standing on, hey, let's go and cross-check somebody in the numbers 5 feet away from the boards and send them in there and then not get a call. I'm not advocating for that type of play, but I do think that fighting still has a place in hockey. Hard hits still have a place in hockey. And if you're going to block a shot, make them block the shot with their face. If they're going to go down, I've never met a hockey player that on their knees, their frame is still taller than the goal. So if they're going to go down to a knee, fucking elevate the puck.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, we didn't see like a series turning hit from Pat Maroon or anything like that. Or he was laying the body, but it wasn't like he never laid one that you were like, oh shit. Like,
honestly, I thought we absorbed the series altering hit when Pasternak got decked in game 7 first period. And I texted you right away. I was like, I'm concerned that that's going to make him scared the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And while he ended up getting the winning goal, he certainly didn't have a great
wasn't a great game.
Like,
no
one did. He was
jumpy on
the puck. He
had more shots. He had more shots not on net in the last 3 games than on net. I mean, that was
5 feet wide, which is a fine bank pass if you see somebody creeping in. But when your D-man on the other side is making a change and that now sends it back down to Swayman, that's you being jumpy and getting rid of the puck too quick. We said it a lot. I didn't. And I had to, so my cousin was in the garden for 2 of the games. And so I had to ask him, like, what's the temperature in there like? Because it was almost like the ice was slushy is like what when I was looking at how often like our star players are just like losing the puck or unable to carry it or whatever. I was like, is there like just an ungodly amount of sludge? It's like, nope, it's not that. It's like, okay. So there goes that excuse. So then it like, what were you? We looked almost scared to get hit, and we're playing with the get it off my stick. I don't want it. No, I don't want to dump it. I don't want it.
Yeah, well,
that's what the Bruins have always done to other teams, and it's time to get back to that.
Yeah, and if that was the case, then we're not going to get any help from playing in Sunrise, Florida. That's for sure. Where the ice is going to be even worse. It's 75 today here in Boston. I think by the time they're back Wednesday, I think we're back to cool temperatures. But I'm going to experience that in my men's league tonight. Right, Foxborough rink is or Coyle and McAvoy. They all grew up playing. It's going to be a fucking slush puddle tonight with the 75-degree weather. So. I will say it's a factor. Definitely wasn't in that series. Like it can be a factor. I mean, and it
wasn't that.
It looked like it was. The way we're playing, it looked like they couldn't skate. They couldn't control.
I was trying to make that be the excuse. I was like, that had to have been what. And then I was like, no, that wasn't. All right, let's do this. Why don't you call out a couple of keys? Crucial keys to the series or things you're looking for. Or let's do keys to the series, what you're looking for in game one, and then a series prediction, and we'll get you out of here.
Yeah, I think keys to the series, we have to be disciplined. You nailed it. Too many men penalties cannot happen against Florida. If it's a roughing penalty, I can take that. Good disciplined hockey is going to lead to us being on the power play equally or more than Florida. And that's where you have to execute. If you are not scoring on the power play like we didn't last series, we are fucked. The PK needs to stay as it was, if not better, which I don't know if it can get much better, but it has to be just as good as it was last series. And then my key is very simple. You mentioned ceilings and floors. I would say we were at our floor as far as offense goes in the last series. That means you can only go up from there, boys. You can't get worse than the offense was in the first series. If that happens and our goalies still play just about as good as they did last series, which will be tougher to do, I think that's a recipe for success. Those are my keys. What do you got?
Very much the same. The penalty kill, you hope that it stays as close to top tier as possible. And that they're not forced into too many 4-minute situations. The power play, I'm looking at one guy and one guy only on the power play. That is David Pastrnak. There was a stat that was going across the top. For those of you that don't know, I cannot stand listening to national television's announcers. And so I have headphones in, just blaring all sorts of music at way too loud to put myself in my own world while I watch the game. So I don't necessarily catch on what commentators are saying, but a stat flashed across at one point that Pastrnak has one goal in their last 49 power plays.
That actually would not.
1 in 49.
And to call
that has to change. He has to be better when he has more ice.
That has to change. And I want to get specific on the power play too. Now that you brought it up, I texted you about this. The Bruins have grown victim to just playing like catch. They're Tom Brady and Julian Edelman playing catch in the back.
Pre-game or off season where they're just.
Do you know how you score goals on a power play? It's when all 5 players, when they are receiving the puck, they look like they're going top shelf with that puck.
Yep.
Then you generate chances from there.
Everybody's cocked and loaded.
Then you generate from chances from there.
We've got,
Marchand gets the puck, and you immediately know, he's going to someone else. David Pastrnak, he doesn't have to be the one that scores the power play goals. But you know how we're going to set up power play goals? Wind that thing up like you're going to take that one-timer and then slide one over to Marchand real quick. Everyone needs to be ready to shoot or looking like they're going to shoot.
Right.
You don't have to be the one that shoots.
It just causes the defensemen or the forwards to look and be like, wait a minute, why is he winding up? Do I really, what? That's
But if our power play is
all it takes to
passes, no,
right.
we're fucked. We're fucked
Zone time means nothing if you've just formed a cage and everybody just knows you're just passing around the horn.
Yeah,
like it
never
means
gonna
absolutely
work.
nothing. Also, on that note, our entries into the zone on the power play have got to be better. Toronto came up with was a strategy that we matched on our penalty kill of just, all right, we're going to stand here and we're not going to let you enter with speed. They won freedom in that trap, which Tampa made famous, almost a decade ago, with their little trap, and we executed it to perfection. And later on in the series, so did Toronto, because we stopped scoring on the power play. My hope would be, since that was something that we have been doing all year, we should know how to beat it.
Agreed.
Because we were doing the same, and then I couldn't. Once that puck went out of the zone the first time, I was like, well, we're not going to get a single shot now. Our only shots came from the initial face-off win and what we could do that first time. And then if they cleared it even once, it was just like we're not getting established in the zone again because it seems like we don't know how.
And we just kept doing the same thing, a drop pass to like a DeBrusque or Pasta and let them go with speed. It's like they know they're coming with speed. Like, that's not going to do it. You need
and they know all they have to do is shelter.
Yeah.
Yep. It's got to be something different. And if it doesn't work, then try something else. Don't keep doing it until it works or until you hope it works. It's not going to. If it's not working right now, try something else. If that works, go back to the other thing when this one stops. We're like that. Like, you can't just be like, nope, we're going to do it this one way and one way only. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and it brings up a good point. I'm surprised we haven't tried this yet, but going back to a power play that was successful early in the year with someone like a JVR or a Brazeau in front of the net, if you're talking about Patrick Maroon making an impact, throw that big boy in front of the net and let your shooters pick their spots.
Because just be a blanket.
Do that in game one. Do that in game one. Right. If it stops working, we go to something different. But get someone in front of the goalie on the power play.
And to that point, get somebody in front of the goalie at 5-on-5. We saw Bertuz's bitch just crumble from a weak cross check 3 times and get the call. All right, post somebody up there. Make them hit.
Yeah.
Make them and then every once don't oversell it on something that's clearly not. But if you feel it a little bit, go down and see what happens. Yeah. At the very least, you put your shooters, our D-men who seem to be holding the puck for the longest time out at the blue line, because everybody else is just like stagnant. If you're going to be standing still, at least be standing still in front of the net.
And no one ever calls this out. Having a big body or someone in front of the net is, obviously the screen for the goalie. That's the focus everyone usually focuses on. And hey, you put someone big, shooters can shoot. They're kind of distraction. What they don't ever touch on is that now their number one PK defenseman is having to constantly push someone. And guess what? 45 seconds into that power play, they're not going to have any push.
He doesn't want to be doing that anymore.
That's when you bury them on a quick pass. That's when you got to wear the other team down, which we did not do well enough against Toronto.
No, we didn't. And which was my second of my keys was you've got to play smart but physical. And then my last one, you kind of touched on it a bit. We played poorly and still won last series.
Yeah.
We could not have scored fewer goals and won the series than we did. Game 1 aside, which clearly was a fluke.
Yeah.
That 5-1 win was not indicative. Like, honestly, I thought it might have been indicative of the entire series. I thought it was going to be, they're just going to
our depth is going
to.
Yeah, like when Beecher gets one, you're like, we got them fucking buried. And turns out, no. Turns out that did not happen.
Well, it turns out that was the only depth scoring we would end up getting.
Yeah.
It was that, and then it was DeBrusque for a pair, and then, Marchand, and then a Pasternak or two, and then randomly a Lindholm, and then a Pasternak. That was the only depth scoring we got. Was that 2 minutes, a minute 30 into game 1?
Yeah.
So
we need to not have one star every game too. You just call it out.
Agreed.
It's like Marchand dominated 3 and 4. Where were the rest of the players? Did DeBrusque, dominated times? Where were the rest of the players?
Like, where was everybody else? All right. How do you see tonight going? I think we both agreed we want to see Ullmark.
I want to see Ullmark. I want to see Ullmark, and I want to see Ullmark have a fuck you game. I think, regardless of, I mean, one, we have to come out firing. But if we don't, if Linus Ullmark can buy us a few unbelievable saves, or he can kind of carry this game early, into the second period, that puts us in a position to play our game. I think that's what I want to see. I want to see Ullmark kind of dominate.
Yep.
I still don't think it's released yet, but it's got to be coming out in the next.
It's not. I just refreshed. I'm not seeing it yet. I think they have to have it into the league an hour before puck drop, and then the league can, then it's on the teams to release it whenever they want. Yeah. So they're still not even at the league mandatory yet. So all right. I agree with you. I want to see Ullmark have a fuck you game. And I want to see. I want to see everybody show up with effort. I want to see
100%.
The stars, whether or not pucks are going in, we have rotten puck luck, whatever. I want to see the effort from all 4 lines and all 6 defensemen. Like, I want to see them skating, being physical, not getting chased out of Florida, not getting humiliated, not getting punked. There isn't a Ryan Reeves on the other side in this series. Your point, there's just not. That's not what this Florida team is. Now, they're feisty and they're physical and they'll go and hit, but there's not a big, oh my God, presence out there.
There's not.
We've now got 3 in Maroon, Brazo, and Brown. They need to go just lay some I want to see some torn, pads tearing through jerseys from how often they're being hit.
And another one who's stepped up. I'd say we almost have 4. It's Brandon Carlo. Brandon Carlo, if he does play tonight, he played the most physical I've ever seen him play last series. So he needs to continue that if he is in the lineup.
Agreed. Brandon, congratulations on having a kid.
But you better be in Florida.
You couldn't have timed this a little better, man. Like, couldn't have done it's your second. Come on. All right. Before we get you out of here, series prediction.
I'd have to see something dramatic change in our play for me to commit to anything less than a 7-game series. I would have to see us come out with like a 4-0 win tonight. Completely different game style than the other series. Otherwise, there is no doubt in my mind this is going 7 games, or Florida is going to beat us in less than that. So I think it's on us to beat them in 7. Pressure's probably more on us than them. So, I mean, I see this going 7 games, and I think we have to win one of these first 2 in Florida. There's no way we can go down 0-2. So tonight would be the night I'd prefer to win, and that sets a good tone for the rest of the series. Brings back some healthy guys as well.
Yep. I do believe that we are as close to playoff rock bottom as we could possibly have gotten going into Game 7. And honestly, midway through the third period of Game 7, down a goal was probably as rock bottom as this team could get in the playoffs, just series considered. And I think we started trending up, and I think we're going to continue trending up. I think that there's something in the locker room that has to have a switch has to have flipped. I have been in really close-knit team environments like that where things aren't going great. You're sucking, whatever, and then something positive happens. And it just is infectious and contagious. And all of a sudden, everybody's showing up to work, ready to roll, ready to go. I've got Bruins in 6. I think I've got Bruins in 6. I think there's going to be a turning point. I think we're going to have a couple of games that might get away from us, but that we claw back into and maybe lose narrowly. There's no way this is. I don't think we're ever going to have a 3-1 lead. To be perfectly honest, I think this is going to be a 2-2 series, and we win 2 in a row.
Yep. I mean, nothing would make me happier than in 6. To your point, I think if anyone's going up 3-1, it's the Panthers. There's way more pressure on us to do something like that. But I also know we have the recipe. We've beaten them 4 games. Like you said, we can only go up from here. we have the recipe to lay this Panthers team down. All the media is thinking the opposite, which is the perfect time for us to strike. You start with game one
exactly.
and build. Start with game one and build.
Exactly. I think we've got I'll briefly counter your point. I think the pressure's on Florida. To be honest, I think everybody and their mother is picking Florida. I understand why this is not a how in the world could you pick Florida? I get it. But I think that there's a lot of recency bias in the fact that the Bruins almost laid a giant egg in round one. And to me, that just tells me you're looking at the final box score and not there's a lot of guys that we had that were underperforming. If they perform even at a level that they did during the regular season, we've proven what we can do when our guys are clicking to this exact Florida Panthers team this season. So
100%.
All right. You've got Bruins in 7. I've got Bruins in 6. We will be back in, 3.5, 4 hours to cover game one. In the meantime, you've got to go win another game, which I cannot believe. But
I will be streaming from the bench of my men's league hockey game. You will hopefully be texting me positive things and not where the fuck is Charlie Coyle and what happened to this team. Hopefully, I'm leaving the stadium with positives.
I mean, if I'm texting you where the fuck is Charlie Coyle, you're going to be in his neck of the woods. You're just going to have to go by his house and be like, "Are we sure he's not here?"
I know. I forgot this game was in Florida because I was about to go directly from Foxborough to TD Garden to replace him. All
right, buddy. I will catch you in a couple hours. Let's go get a dub. Let's start this on a high.
Let's go.
All right. Good job by you, buddy. We'll see you soon.